24. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Hildebrand,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Penquitz,
Here.
Matsdorf, here. Tauschek,
Here.
Gilson,
Here.
Binder,
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Let the record show we have a quorum. Next is the pledge. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda. I would just like to pull out the one item regarding the farmer's market.
We can put that in item 5 for discussion. We can still approve it here
Sure. that's
and
fine.
just have a discussion in 5. No problem. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Concur with the first motion?
Correct.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll as motioned.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Here, or yes.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Matsdorf, yes. Binder,
Yes.
Penquitz.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 4 is the audience portion where we ask people to sign in and be recognized by the chair. That's where you do the talking and we do the listening. No one signed in tonight. We certainly encourage people to come and voice their concerns to us. Item 5, items removed from the consent agenda, even though it was approved, as John mentioned. The discussion, and I'll let John start it off, is a discussion on the farmer's market to be held Thursdays, June through October at the park shelter in
Stayer Park. right?
Stair Lions Park. So with that, John, go ahead and make a comment on that.
Well, I just see folks from the farmer's market are here, the Ogilvies, and I'm not sure who else is here, but I'd just like some information, I guess, about it and what the plans are in general for the farmer's market.
Yeah, the background is, prior to this year, SCIO was a sponsor of the Plymouth Farmers Market, and they had decided not to pursue or continue sponsoring the farmers market. And so Julie, myself, and Lisa, this is Lisa Cruz, another vendor at the market, kind of took it upon ourselves to, what can we do as vendors to get the farmers market going again in Plymouth and such. And so we've had a couple ad hoc meetings, Plymouth Chamber, the Redevelopment Association, it was there, and then also Nourish was part of it. And through that process, Nourish had agreed to be the sponsoring organization for the market that would be the umbrella organization that would manage the market. Part of that is they provide the liability insurance for the market and such, and have to take care of the logistics as far as the paperwork, et cetera, to manage the market as such. We had walked through Stayer Park with Tim here a couple weeks ago, kind of getting an idea as far as what we could do or how that location could be used as a farmer's market. And as a location, it looks like a great location, except for one aspect, and that is the visibility aspect of it. It's a great physical location for vendors, great parking and such. We got the takeout equipment for families and such, and hopefully patronize the farmers market at the same time. But in discussing with Nourish, with the proper promotion and advertising, whatever that may entail, I think we can get the word out as far as Plymouth does have a farmer's market, which was a problem before. People didn't know we had and such. And so then we're, like say, before the council here to get that formula approved to utilize Slater Park for the market.
Will Nourish be the location where you go to apply to be a vendor then, or?
I'm gonna say possibly not, but we're working with Brian, who is the director of Nourish. What the three of us are going to be doing right now is we have numerous farmers market vendor applications that we want to make sure we cover, and we want it to be a very safe market because of what we've experienced at markets such as in Sheboygan's Mountain Park. So part of our job is going to be going over that, and then we'll meet with Brian and see his take on that. We also will be looking at getting as many local vendors as possible before we put outside possibly. And we have some decisions to make on that. And as far as the start of it, you mentioned, normally farmers markets are usually starting in June, go through at least mid-October. But because right now we're just trying to get this all together, that would be, do our best to make sure that with the backing of the city, the chamber, Plymouth Arts Center, the Plymouth Advancement Association, these people, these heads of these organizations that we met with, were willing to help us get the word out. Nourish right now, we found out in our conversation with Brian last week, they have a database of 30,000 people that see when they post something. So we're going to try to use that. They're going to help us get the word out too when we have a market here.
Do you anticipate hours of operation?
We have done Thursdays in the past year from 3 to 6, and we look at that because that's when school is out. They're not competing then with Sheboygan on Wednesday, Elkhart Lake on Saturday, Sheboygan on Saturday. Who am I missing?
Well, we'd have start where we would set up at like 2 o'clock, an hour before. So we're all set up and our vehicles are moved away, ready for people to come.
Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. We appreciate that and
Could I
the
ask
information.
two questions?
Short ones.
Is there a charge for the vendors?
We're working on that to initially encourage vendors to be there, because it's like a chicken or the egg. If you don't get vendors, you don't have customers. If you don't have customers, you don't get vendors. So we discussed maybe just a very nominal fee to do a type thing, and hopefully in the future that it would become more substantive.
Maybe the first year, the fee we could use for our for advertising.
Promotion,
Yeah, for promotion of it.
Because one thing Nourish said, they can do the back end types, office type stuff like that, and they don't have the bandwidth to have a person physically there every market, and we kind of took it upon ourselves to be the on-site representative for the market and such. I think that's where the fees will come in. If they comes better, well, they can have more fees, and they can hire somebody and pay somebody.
And the second question I have, do they, will Nourish place any restrictions on what kind of vendors can be there? Is it basically, garden
We're
goods?
working on that as far as it wants to, we're working on the rules and such, and I think consensus is needs to be local. There's not going to be any like a Mary Kay type of representative there type of thing. Maybe very limited craft vendors, and those crafts have to be self-made type of thing. They just can't go to a flea market and sell stuff like that. So we want to keep the integrity of the
I want
market.
to interject also with anyone that has produce. The produce has to be local, grown by the individual. It can't be coming, we have known, unfortunately, I'm not saying in Plymouth, but we have known that sometimes if a vendor doesn't have a certain produce, they've been known to go and purchase it, to have it at market. That would not be allowed. We also want to make sure that rules are followed. Again, part of it's safety because of what we've experienced, especially Scott in the past. It's really important that when a market opens, that's when the customers come in and not before. so that there's a safety issue, that nobody gets a child almost run over that's in a stroller, things like that, because that had almost happened in Sheboygan. So we know, and we want to let the vendors know that if you're not going to follow the rules, maybe you get a warning once, twice, but then that's it. Because if we advertise well, which we plan on doing, working very hard with sandwich boards, lawn signs, and we learned from Tim that they have to, where they can go versus with the city streets and things like that. So we hope to, and the billboards, we found out, like by the Veterans Park, that billboard there advertising, Donna Hahn has offered us to have her digital sign. So we know that we have a lot of work to do to make sure it's visible. And then, again, the whole Nourish thing is to get it out there. A lot of that social media is very important.
That's good, and we appreciate you taking the time to come, and more will be coming out as things develop, and we'll look for more information to come forward. And if we have requests, maybe the city can pass along some of that information too. Good.
Yeah, we will certainly advertise the market when it's ready.
That's right.
I
Thank
think
you.
once we get our rules and regulations, we'll give Tim a copy.
Yeah.
Make sure he is copied on that as far as the final version.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good information. I declare a public hearing open for discussion and action regarding ordinance number 5, amending 13-1-28 of the city of Plymouth, Wisconsin zoning code regarding R6 high-density multifamily residential district. I'll ask City Administrator Tim Blakely to start off the discussion and comments. It being a public hearing, the chair will certainly listen, hear any comments from anybody present. Tim?
Sure. So in March of April of 24, the Common Council, upon recommendation of the Plan Commission, did adopt the new R6 zoning district for the construction of larger multifamily units in Plymouth. As with any new code, minor tweaks are often needed as we try to put that code into action. As previously approved, the R6 district did include units per building minimum of 13. However, upon further review, we realized that this could limit diverse developments of multi-family buildings. For example, a development that may have, say, a 28-unit building, 16-unit building, and potentially an 8-unit townhome would not be permitted in this district. It was not the intention to limit this type of development when the code was created. So we did make some modifications to the code to remove that minimum number of 13 units in the R6 district. In Chapter 13, a multifamily building is defined by having just at least 3 units. So by removing specific reference to 13 units in the R6 district, it would change the multifamily limit between 3 and 28 as permitted use, and then to 56 as conditional use. There are some minor language tweaks also proposed by the city attorney upon a second review, but I wouldn't call those substantive changes to the code. So at the meeting on May 6, 2024, the Plan Commission did unanimously recommend ordinance number 5 to the Common Council, and staff does recommend approval as presented. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. With that public hearing, the chair does welcome any other comments regarding the zoning change as Tim indicated. This is something that has been in the process of working on, and Tim, I think it's fair to say you grabbed different parts from different communities, and we used a best practice in putting this ordinance forward.
Correct, yep. I would say we pulled from 3 or 4 different communities and tried to create the ordinance that works best for Plymouth.
Thank you. I declare the public hearing closed. Chair now entertain a motion for adoption of ordinance number 5, amending section 13-1-28 of the city of Plymouth, Wisconsin zoning code regarding R6 high-density multifamily residential district.
Mayor, I'll move that we approve ordinance number 5.
Second motion.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll on the ordinance number 5 change.
Penquitz,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Tauschek.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to new business, item A, Chair hereby appoints and asks for council approval, appointing Carol O'Malley to the Redevelopment Authority to fill a vacancy with the term ending August 2025.
I would make a motion to accept Carol O'Malley for the RDA.
Second.
We have a first and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Item B, the mayor hereby appoints Jane Meyer to the Plan Commission to fill a vacancy with a term ending May 2026. This requires no council approval. This is for your information. And thank you to both of those parties for accepting the nomination. Moving on to item C, approval of Generations Funding Agreement. I'll ask Tim Blakely, our city administrator, to give us a brief summary. Tim?
Sure. So at the last committee of the whole meeting 2 weeks ago, Executive Director Greg Voss was here and gave a presentation on Generations and what they've done over the past year. At that time, we did give a brief summary of the proposed funding agreement. So the city has been funding Generations per this agreement since 2013. The commitment has been extended and it just ended on April 30th, 2024. So staff did work with Generations and come to a proposed agreement of a 2.14% increase per year, starting May 1st, 2024. Those amounts are outlined in your memo. This does align with the recent city levy increase from 2023 to 2024. Historically, we have provided a multi-year commitment rather than an annual agreement to Generations, so staff does recommend an approval of the agreement as presented. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss regarding the approval of the Generations Funding Agreement.
I'll move approval of the Generation Funding Agreement.
I'll second the motion for approval.
We have a first and a second, any discussion? Because this is a binding agreement, 3-year, I think we should have a roll call on this. Thank you.
Gilson,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
No.
Herman,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Penquitz.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you, appreciate that. Moving on to item D, approval of CA submission for utility storage building. Tim, would you give us a brief summary on that, please?
Sure. So a CA stands for a Certificate of Authority, and that has to do with the approval from the Public Service Commission. And projects over a certain dollar value require that a CA be granted prior to completing work. So a storage facility at the Plymouth Utilities building has been planned for 5+ years. The 2023 budget did include approximately $200,000 in capital improvement plans to design and prepare for construction. And additional funds are planned in future years for completion of the building. Due to other projects in 2023, this project again is anticipated to begin here at the end of 2024. We did get an updated construction estimate from Compur for the cost of the project. It is now above the cost of the CA threshold. So we did, earlier this year, work with Forrester Electrical Engineering, got council approval for them to put together the CA document. So the draft CA document is attached. There's a few minor tweaks that are going to be made prior to finalized submission. We got some finalized engineering drawings that we will include, and there's a bunch of other attachments that are not included in your packet because it would be another, 50 pages long. But basically, it just runs through the overall approval, the need, why the utilities is looking to get this project completed, and what it will do for the utilities, keeping the equipment indoors, out of the weather and elements, et cetera. So tonight we're asking for approval to submit the certificate of authority to the Public Service Commission. Should the project be approved at the Public Service Commission, we would plan to include funds in the 2025 budget and the future upcoming borrow. And then the Common Council will continue to review bids and contracts as the project moves forward. So happy to answer any questions. And again, Electric Operations Manager Ryan Reborn is here as well.
Thank you, Tim. The chair will entertain a motion so we can discuss with the caveat of any modifications that City Administrator Tim Blakely and Utility Manager would agree to. If those being minor, I don't think it's appropriate to come back to us every time you change a word. So,
Correct. Yeah, I would qualify as these are just minor clarifications in the
yeah.
submittal.
So with that caveat, looking for a motion. Alderman
Make a
Hildebrand.
motion to approve it.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. We have a first and a second to approve the CA, as indicated with any caveats applicable. Any discussion? Alderman Hildebrand.
Yeah, is this kind of the biggest and the best, or is this kind of,
I would say it's what we need. This is not the biggest and the best. I would say this is what the utilities needs to keep our storage
is it
equipment.
gonna look like the building? Is it gonna come out
It's gonna look,
compatible?
yeah, it's gonna look, I wouldn't say it's gonna look exactly like the building. It's gonna look like a storage facility.
Yeah, so it's gonna be cold storage, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's the only questions I have.
Yes.
Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Penquits,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Mattsdorf,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Tauschak,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Gilson.
Motion carried, thank you. For the audience, the next portion will be asked to go into closed session for a discussion of the council. When we come out, we may or may not have action, but thank you all for coming. And if you have any follow-up, please talk with the clerk's office anytime that you want to. With that, the chair will entertain a motion to go open session. The chair will entertain a motion on the closed session item.
Mayor,
Alderman Tauschek.
I'll make a motion to deny the claim from Andrea Fenner.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second to deny the claim from Andrea Fenner. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Tauschek,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Binder,
Yes.
Gilson,
Yes.
Hildebrand,
Yes.
Pankwitz,
Yes.
Matsdorf,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.